Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, guys. EOS, it is exploding. We are going to cover it this episode. Thank you for joining me. This is Colin with Colin Talks Crypto, and this is EOS Mega Update Volume 15. I hope you guys are having a great day. I want to mention that at the end of this video, I'm going to be giving out 200 free EOS account activation codes. Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how you can get a free EOS account. All right, so EOS is exploding in price. It's up 35% in the past 7 days as of right now, the time of recording this video. I was actually getting a little concerned. Stellar Lumens was way ahead of it and Tether was above it, and suddenly EOS shot up. And I really feel that's a correct valuation for such an innovative, powerful dApp infrastructure like we have on EOS. And in this video, we'll cover what makes it so powerful and what's happening in recent times. There's a lot to cover here. So Block.one updated their resource exchange source code. So it's just a matter of time before we get this implemented. I predict we'll see it in first quarter of 2019. Block.one seems to be very professional and taking their time to do everything right before they release it. But this is going to be a huge game changer. Now, what's so big about the resource exchange? Now, of course, you can lend out your tokens to those in need who need to use the CPU or bandwidth. But really, for me, this is a game changer because of passive income potential. This is what I have been waiting for years, guys. When I got into Ethereum, I was so pumped about Casper and proof of stake, and I still am. But EOS just won with the resource exchange. It won the race to first to proof of stake and a passive income source. And I'm actually surprised that the price of EOS isn't higher just based on that news alone. And maybe it's because not everyone's realized what's happening here. But essentially, you're going to be able to make a passive income on all of your EOS tokens. So let's say you have 10,000 EOS, you throw them on the resource exchange, and you make a certain percentage trickle income back. So this is going to be very, very huge. You know, I actually see a future where my entire livelihood is going to be based upon my income generated passively through EOS and maybe someday Ethereum as well. But right now, it's just making me wish I converted even more Ethereum to EOS. And so a couple of notes about the resource exchange. Resource exchange users will be rewarded with CPU and net trading fees and account name fees. So this is the pool of money that we're going to get as profit as EOS holders. So it's more than just the Chintai trading fees. That's why I think that the Rex is going to be superior to Chintai in that regards. But either way, it's great to have competition, and they're both very, very welcome and awesome platforms in my opinion. So you have the CPU net trading fees, the account name fees. I think there might be a few other fees. And basically they're from the eosio.ramfee contract and the eosio.names accounts. And that's where the funds will be that we get to collect as stakers. And it's also worth noting that participants in the resource exchange need to either vote for at least 21 block producer candidates or delegate their voting influence to a registered proxy. And this raises network security by increasing the number of voters out there. So, of course, everyone and their mother is going to want to make a passive income staking EOS. And so what's going to happen is everyone and their mother is going to be voting for at least 21 block producers. I think this is going to be a game changer. And I think that on my site, blockproducers.info, we're going to then see probably a massive shift in power, in the powers that be. And actually, look at this, guys. I just loaded this up. It looks like just today there has been a massive shakeup of block producers. We have Jada moving up to like 4th place. We have EOS Authority jumping way up to 12th place from out of the ranks. That's a great block producer. We have EOS Canada jumping up to 10th place. Man, these are some good moves here. We have CoChain World up to 18th place. Who's getting kicked out here? We got EOS Rio Brazil jumped down a little bit. EOS Fly to Mars, I'm actually glad that they're dropping because I know nothing about that very not transparent block producer. And EOS Bix and Boot, looks like they're getting the Bix and Boot down to position number 20. Worbli got kicked down a bit. ZBOS BP got kicked down to position 5. Start EOS down to 8. Overall, I would say these are pretty good moves. And you can check that out at blockproducers.info. So that is an example of what we're going to see, but probably even more favorable when the resource exchange gets out. And why do I say that? Because it makes regular users vote. Block producers are already voting. Whales are already voting, keeping themselves in power. The manipulators are already manipulating. So now we just need to increase the regular users voting. And that's what we're going to see when regular users like you and me get rewarded and payouts in EOS for voting on the resource exchange. I'm really thankful to Block.one and Dan for listening to this because in my opinion, the resource exchange was the single most needed feature on the EOS network, and it is coming very soon, guys, as evidenced by the updates on this platform. Stay tuned. And while we're on this page, Dan has actually talked recently about implementing a new feature very similar to Telos, which I like a lot, where the 21st block producer would get cycled out with all the standby BPs and thereby making them prove that they're able to create blocks. And I think that'll weed out a lot of the guys who are just sitting there in the top 50 BPs, milking those profits on standby, but you know what? They might not even be able to create a block, or they might not be reliable, or they might just not have the infrastructure needed, the hardware and the net to perform optimally. And we're only going to know that when we force them to create blocks. So I think that's totally smart, and I can't wait to see us implement on EOS the feature of rotating out that 21st block producer. Not to mention the fact that it also just increases decentralization that much more. We have that much more randomity of the block producers in charge. Sure, it's only one of the 21, but that's a lot better than having just 21 block producers. So now on to some really exciting news, guys. EOS is coming to the Trezor hardware wallet. Crypto Fairy, the same developer who brought us the Ledger Nano S EOS app, has now brought us the beginnings of the Trezor app. And so he says, we have built a firmware for Trezor Model T that works with EOS IO software. The key principle of this firmware is identical to what we did for Ledger devices. And he does a video on this if you want to watch it. I'll put this Medium link in the description. And he says, all that's left is waiting for approval from Trezor regarding firmware changes and to make some integration improvement on the Fairy wallet. So he's already coded this and it's awaiting approval from Trezor. So guys, we're gonna have it. 2 hardware wallets fully supporting EOS. And I guess he's gonna win $50,000 more because he got it for the first implementation on Ledger from the Cypherglass block producer. Big props to them again for making this happen by funding this innovation. And so now he's making the second half of that offer, which was $50,000 for creating a Trezor EOS wallet. So guys, let's take a look at how EOS is performing today. This is the blocktivity.info activity matrix. And who's on top? No surprise here, it's EOS, with 26 million operations in the past 24 hours. Now, as a comparison, let's look at Bitcoin, which is number 7 position right here. 600,000 operations per 24-hour period. Ethereum right behind that with 550,000 operations. So Bitcoin and Ethereum at just about 500,000 and EOS at 26 million operations per second. And that's just in EOS's first 6 months of existence. EOS is going to be freaking huge. I think we're going to see not only hundreds of millions, but billions of operations per second on the EOS blockchain. And if you notice on the right here, it says that currently EOS is at 20% of its total capacity. Now, let's look at Bitcoin. Oh, 100%, and Ethereum, 100%. So EOS is doing about 50 times more operations per second than Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it's only running at 20% of its maximum capacity. Now, that aside is impressive, but EOS isn't even running parallel or with sidechains yet. When we get parallelization on EOS, this 20% utilization is going to drop down to like 2% utilization or less because there's going to be that much more throughput available. So guys, EOS is the future, and obviously DPoS is as well, because look at these top block producers. Because look at these, and obviously DPoS is as well, delegated proof of stake. the consensus protocol and mechanism behind EOS. Because look at this, we have Wax as number 2. It's already doing 6 million transactions per 24-hour period, and that's also running on the EOS IO software. And then we have BitShares, which is a DPoS platform, which is 1.7 million operations per second. And we have Steam, which is almost 1 million operations per 24-hour period, etc. So the top 5 platforms are all using delegated proof of stake. It goes to show you there's something going right for that. You know, it's all fine and good to say that you're the most decentralized, but when it comes down to it, what do corporations need? What do dApp developers need? They need users to be able to use their platform. And when you reach the maximum capacities like Bitcoin and Ethereum over here, where you have 100% blockchain capacity reached, you can't have a good user experience. And so it doesn't matter how decentralized you are if you can't have a good user experience. And EOS balances those qualities so that you have just enough censorship resistance and immutability while getting maximum performance. And I think that's where Dan is so brilliant. And that's what really caught my eye back in 2017 when I heard him talking about this. He really just approached the subject of performance and scalability and decentralization in such a pragmatic way that that's why I knew this was going to be big. Aside from all the other aspects like smart contracts, C++, half-second block times, parallelization, my God, and now a resource exchange with passive incomes to stakers. I mean, the list goes on. Need I say more? I am very proud to have almost half my portfolio in EOS right now. Okay, guys, that's enough of my bull rant, but you're on the EOS Mega update, so you are bulls as well. All right, we're gonna go on to the next topic here. So this is block producer profitability. So there was an article here by AltShiftDev who did an analysis of how much block producers profit and how much money they need to keep going before they are operating at a loss. And so he actually surveyed them and put them into tiers. And he says that the break-even point is about $4 per EOS for these block producers to be able to maintain operations and not go in the negative. So I think there'll be no problem with surpassing that. Honestly, I think in the future, we're going to see well above $4 per EOS. And actually, I think it would be smart to create some kind of a stable token payout system, because there's going to be a point where they're going to be getting paid so insanely much when, for example, EOS hits $50 a token or $100 a token, that it actually becomes a little ludicrous. So it makes sense to make a stable token payout system so that they get paid the right amount regardless of market conditions. So if EOS is worth $2 a coin, they get some more EOS. But if it's worth $50 a coin, they get less EOS, but still enough to pay their costs with some profit. And I think that's a really important and necessary feature. I don't think we've seen the full need for it yet because we haven't seen the price go that high yet. I'd rather see us implement that sooner rather than wait till it has to happen, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. Dan and Block.one, I hope, will eventually create this. I think we're going to realize how badly we need something like that on EOS as the price increases. And in this article, he actually talks about this. It's dynamic inflation. That's the name of this payout system that varies based on the price per token. And he did a survey of the block producers if they would support such a system. And so a full 73% of BP survey do want dynamic inflation, knowing full well it would limit their profits in bull markets, but also that it would keep them solvent during times where the EOS token did drop below $4. So Dan Larimer wrote an article to handle any FUD that he's leaving Block.one, because he's not. And so I want to stamp that out in this video. Anyone who tells you that Dan Larimer is leaving Block.one is straight up spreading false information. It's false news, fake news, guys, because he wrote this article called Innovating in the Open, and he says, "It's important for me to emphasize that I wake up every day excited to lead the Block.one engineering team, which has now grown to nearly 100 engineers and continues to expand rapidly. As we prepare to release the next layer of infrastructure for developers and consumers to leverage blockchain capabilities with EOS IO, our focus and dedication as a team can only be described as all in." And he says, "Unlike the previous application-specific blockchains of my past," he's referring to BitShares and Steemit, "EOS IO is a foundational platform for my future endeavors." Personally, Block.one has become a vehicle for me to deliver a different magnitude of innovation and execution than I've been able to in the past. And the goal of preparing EOS IO for mainstream enterprise and consumer adoption remains paramount to both the organization and myself. So guys, anyone who tells you Dan Larimer is leaving Block.one, show them this video, show them this article. They're spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. You may just want to ask them what coins they're holding, and perhaps that will shed some light on why they're telling you those lies. I would be willing to bet they're not holding any EOS. Okay, and I just recently claimed my Worbli tokens, and it took a little bit of work because I have a Ledger Nano S linked up to my accounts, so it was a little trickier. And but I just want to share some tips with you guys. First of all, the guys at Worbli and the Telegram group were super helpful. If you have any trouble, just head over to the Worbli Telegram group and they will be more than happy to help you out, as they did with me. And a big shout out to Martin and LiquidEOS and Paul M for helping me out there. The key thing that I want to stress here that might save you some headaches is to link it with your EOS account, and link it with the EOS account that had the most tokens as of September 7th, 2018, because that was the snapshot date for Worbli. So if you have two accounts, pick the one with the larger supply because you only get to pick one as a KYC AML verified user. You can't have two of them on the same user account. So now, a special note here, if you're using a Ledger Nano S to do the claim process to prove your account ownership of your EOS account, and I figured this out sort of by chance and by luck, you have to turn on arbitrary data on the Ledger Nano S app itself. On the hardware device, you have to select over to settings and turn on arbitrary data before the Worbli claim process will proceed correctly. And once you do that, it will then prove your ownership of your account and you'll get your Worbli tokens. And so I'm excited to see Worbli hit the exchanges and just see what this thing is worth and where it's going to go. You know, as far as sister blockchains go, I would value them higher, a notch higher than just regular airdrops, because on EOS we all get airdrops, Everipedia, you know, higher vibes, this and that, and those are awesome. But these are actually whole new blockchains, right? So Worbli is a new blockchain, and then there could be airdrops on that blockchain. Telos is a new blockchain, and there could be airdrops on that blockchain. So these sister blockchain tokens, Worbli and Telos, are, I think, going to be more valuable than most airdrops, just being the token of an entire blockchain. So I'd think twice before selling that token, because you'd effectively be cutting yourself short of every future airdrop that you'd get as part of any snapshots on those blockchains. So personally, I'm going to be holding my Worbli and Telos tokens. And speaking of tokens, if you've been holding your Everipedia tokens, your IQ tokens, and you did not sell, you probably made a very smart move. They've been quiet for a while, but breaking news, Everipedia has announced they are building new EOS dApps that utilize their IQ tokens. They're building a prediction market, an Oracle service, and more. So guys, hold on to those IQ tokens. That's what I'm doing. And we're going to see some cool stuff coming out of Everipedia. And Telos is live and it's hitting exchanges very soon. By the time you see this video, Telos will be on exchanges. And I have a list of some exchanges that Telos will be on, if not more than this. Chainrift.com, dexeos.io, findex.pro, swap.online. I'm really curious to see what it's going to be worth. I'm going to just shoot a shot out in the dark and say I think it's going to start out around 20 cents per token and go up and down from there. Of course, making a prediction basically sets me up for being wrong, but hey, let's have some fun. I think 20 cents a Telos token. And Scatter had an overhaul, version 10.0. They listened to users, they've redesigned it completely from the ground up. It's beautiful, it's elegant, it's fun to use. It was not like this before. It was clunky, it was not intuitive, it was frankly a painstaking experience to use. Every time I wanted to switch accounts, I had to destroy my entire wallet and recreate it. Well, it's a lot smoother now, it's beautiful, it's simple, so I recommend you check it out. Check out the Scatter new version 10.0 wallet. And some good news and progress for lost EOS private keys. from the migration from the ICO to the Genesis account. If you lost your key, there is progress being made. A short while ago, we had some wrap functions that were approved, and now we have the first ever lost key change ruling by the ECAF. And so right now it's pending a vote. And I'm putting this on this video because we need these block producers to approve this so that we can begin recovering access to our zombie EOS accounts by proving our ownership of our Ethereum keys that link to those Genesis accounts. And so all these block producers who are in the blue color, not the orange color. The orange color are guys who fell out of the top 21. The blue ones are the ones that are in the top 21 still, and they're the guys who can vote for this and can make a difference on this. So please, block producers, vote yes for this and don't push this away. We want these users to regain access to their accounts. My friend wants access to their 15,000 EOS account. Blake wants access, the creator of the EOS Lost Private Key group. He wants access to his accounts. And there's no reason whatsoever that we shouldn't be able to give this to them because it's cryptographic proof. So please approve this, block producers. That's why we vote for you. Please share this video if you haven't already. Please like it. Please tell me what you think about all these great things coming to EOS. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do have codes for creation of 200 free EOS accounts. And this is provided by Meet.one. And actually, Dimitri and Susan from Meet.one gave me these codes to hand out to you guys. So all you have to do is go on Twitter, add my account, Colin T Crypto, and retweet out this video, EOS Mega Update Volume 15. When you do that, then send me a DM, a direct message, and say that you have done those two things. I will then send you one of the 200 free codes, assuming you're one of the first 200 people to do this. At which point you can then use the Meet.one app to create a completely free EOS account. And they're offering this to you guys. And they've created a really cool video to show you how to use those codes to create your free account. So first you click on this blue section of their app in the Meet.one app, register by invitation code. That's what the app looks like. And you pick an account name, 12 characters in length. Type a code, password. And this is where you put your invite code that I'm going to give you here. And it says, don't do this if you have a jailbroken device. It's not secure if you have a jailbroken iPhone or Android. And then it's going to give you your private key. So it's behind here. And don't share that with anyone, of course. But write that down on a piece of paper. All right, and you have then created your free EOS account. Compliments of Meet.one. Thanks, guys, for helping out the EOS community. Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you here. I hope you're having a great day. Go EOS. And in the near future, I may or may not have a crypto rap music video coming. And I'll just be honest, I already recorded the whole song. So it's just a video that's being worked on right now. So stay tuned. This should be interesting.